Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's lecture. This week, we're going to talk about functional strategies. As before, we're going to quickly go over what we have discussed last week, and then we'll dive into today's sections. So in last week, we have talked about Michael Porter's generic strategies. We have talked about the two basic strategies that all firms can formulate, which is low-cost strategy, where a company emphasize on product process efficiency in order to reduce the cost for the firms. As a result, they would be able to offer cost-effective goods or product to end users. On the other hand, the organization can adopt differentiation strategy, where organization emphasize on the importance of various product features and highlight the key distinctions that from their competitors. And combining these two unique strategy with a different focus on whether the company want to capture the entire market or whether they want to focus on a niche market space. These 2x2 combination result in 4 generic strategy typology introduced by Michael Porters. And in more recent years, scholars have highlighted the possibility of emphasizing on the combination of both low-cost strategy and differentiation strategies. And then they introduce how firms can compete by focusing on various factors based on market segmentations. As a result, they can result in the potential 8 different typologies, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears and look into the functional strategies. So in terms of functional strategies, this level of strategy is really at the lowest tier of strategy, specifically at looking at things occurring at the functional areas. So once corporate level and business unit level strategies are developed, top executives should align activity in the functional areas to ensure these functional activities will be strongly aligned with the overall corporation and business unit level strategies. So all these activities from various departments are well coordinated and working together. And most importantly, the function of marketing, finance, production, purchasing, human resource, and information systems should be carefully considered. These various functions are not only essential in order to ensure the overall generic strategy at a business unit and even corporate level could be strongly aligned, and it also provide important areas that top management team need to pay attention to. So let's get started. So today's agenda will be the following. We'll first focus on functional strategy and by discussing key issues and relevant definition. Then we'll dive into the functional areas. We won't be able to cover in depth in each of those functional areas, but we'll mainly focus on how, in order to ensure the alignment between business unit strategy and functional activities, what important things that top management team should focus on. So most of you have experience working for a small or large corporation, and your work often was centered around a specific function. So I want you to take a moment and think about the relationship between that business functions and the entire organization. So based on your experience, what do you think about the relationship between functional area and the entire organizations? So oftentimes, based on your experience, most likely you will come to the realization that functional area strategy is really all about integrations. Most of you have worked in organizations where individual departments often are not on the same page. That simply means that there's alignment issues within the functional areas and the overall business unit or even the entire organization. Top managers often want to emphasize, for example, top managers might emphasize customer service while simultaneously cutting the number of service representatives to trim expense. So that by itself is really suggesting that top management team did not really manage the organization effectively. Sometimes supervisor may want to emphasize on firm's commitment to superior training and development, yet those training materials could remain outdated. When such inconsistencies are often identified, many managers try to rationalize the problem instead of tackling and resolving these issues. So that's why it's important to look at the functional strategy to make sure it will enable the organization to move toward the direction they have formulated. So essentially, at the functional level strategy, the most important issue is to ensure there's a consistency between business and functional strategies. Otherwise, business doesn't matter what type of business unit strategy you have formulated, such strategy will never be implemented properly. And there are also common difference in functional strategy between low cost and differentiation strategies. So let's take a look at how these functional areas and their key relationship with these two generic strategies. And before we do that, let's just look at some of the key terminologies. So functional strategy, as we have mentioned earlier, really represent the lowest strategy tiers. It represents what, and the link between functional and business strategy is clear in many cases, but not all cases. So, however, the business strategy usually indicate what must be done at the functional areas in order to ensure there's a strategic alignment among these. And the key is really about integration. So all the functional area really need to provide strong foundation and support in order for the business unit strategy to be implemented. So they really need to blend together well in order to support the corresponding business unit strategies. So the emphasis on marketing functional area, most notably the notion of customer orientation, continue to gain importance and place in high level of prominence on marketing strategy that supports firm and business strategy. First is the pricing strategy. Low-cost business unit strategy often emphasize low prices, fairly straightforward, right? And however, price is less of a concern if the business unit decide to focus on differentiating themselves with their competitor, simply because by adopting the differentiation strategy, you are simply assuming that end users are willing to pay more in order to enjoy the unique product feature of your goods or service. In terms of promotion, low-cost business tend to spend less monetary resource promotion, and they will often emphasize price or low price in their promotion materials. On the other hand, differentiation strategy, the marketing area tend to highlight the uniqueness of their product or services. And in terms of product or service, low-cost business often will emphasize the basic non-fuel products. So they will highlight the essential aspect of these low-price products, while differentiation business tend to highlight the unique feature, ensuring that they are able to differentiate their product from the competitors in their product or service strategies. And in terms of the distribution strategies or place, low-cost business often seek the most efficient way of distribution. They will try to cut the cost of the corresponding distribution process, while companies that emphasize differentiation strategies, they are likely to emphasize the quality of their service or the speed of their delivery. So as you can see from the discussion so far, low-cost strategy and differentiation strategies often will need different marketing support to ensure that such business unit strategy will be implemented successfully. Next, we look at the finance aspect. So low-cost business often seek to minimize financial costs, and oftentimes they will defer expansion if the cost of manufacturing or cost of raw material is too high. While business unit they want to implement the differentiation strategy, they tend to find various ways to finance initiatives. They are associated with quality improvement. So such initiative could include research and development or even process improvement strategy, because these initiatives really will help organizations to better identify and improve the product niche or product unique features in order to differentiate themselves from their key competitors. They are willing to do so even when the cost of capital is relatively high. And firms often will utilize various financial ratios to help them to better understand the cost and financing aspect of the related activity, and then implement the corresponding strategies. So again, the key ideas is to ensure alignment between business unit strategies and functional areas implementation in the finance area as well. Similarly, for production or service component of functional areas, these in alignment is also very important. Manufacturing firms have production strategies, and those strategies often that involve in service industry have service strategies. So the concept that govern production also apply to service firm as well. So let's look at some of the key components that will be important to implement at the functional area strategy. First is the experience curve, which is the reduction in per unit cost as organization gain experience producing a product or services. Low cost strategies business unit often emphasize on cost reduction through the experience curve. That's when process innovation would be most important. They often engage in business process reengineering in order to eliminate operations that are unnecessary or add little value to the final outputs. And cost reduction can also come through various forms of learnings, economic skills, or capital labor substitutions. And so organizational learning often refer to the idea that employees will become more effective and efficient when they perform the same task many times. And at the organization level, that can also be fostered by ensuring there's a strong training and development components with the organizations. And there are also capital labor substitution, which simply refer to the firm's ability to substitute labor for capital or vice versa as value of production increase, depending on which combination will minimize cost and maximize effectiveness. And in the process, economy of scale often will take place, especially when you have large number of production. Oftentimes, you may be able to negotiate a better deal in terms of the acquisition of raw materials and the related process. On the other hand, the firm that want to highlight and emphasize differentiation strategies, they often will place great consideration in terms of improving their qualities. So historically, quality has been perceived as a control activities that occur at the end of production process. But more recently, especially since the 1980s, total quality management was introduced, and it simply referred that the total quality of product features or characteristics must be able to satisfy customer needs. And firms with a strong emphasis on differentiation often would pay close attention to ensure quality is superb. And nowadays, customer usually is often view quality as the most essential ingredients and should really be the concern of all members of the organizations. And for firms that utilize low-cost strategy, they often won't place too much emphasis in the research and development functional areas. However, for firms, they highlight the importance of differentiation strategies. It's two totally different stories. So product or service research and development simply refer to the effort that geared toward improve the overall product features. They often place main focus on innovations of either on the quality or the uniqueness of the products. So traditionally, when we talk about research and development, product or service R&D is often would be the first thing that come into people's mind. However, R&D functional areas often will also emphasize on the importance of process research and development, the so-called process innovation, that simply highlight the reduction of operational costs and improve efficiencies. So process innovation is important also for low-cost strategy firms, because by doing process innovation or process R&Ds, you will be able to cut down unnecessary costs in the production process, and that can directly benefit the end user, as the company will be able to offer low-cost products. So as a result, differentiators usually invest more resource in product or service research and development, While nowadays, cost leaders or companies that highlight low-cost strategy will often emphasize on the importance of process research and development. So that really show you why it's important to ensure there's a strategic alignment in the functional areas and the business unit areas. So cost leaders often will procure supplies and raw material at the lowest possible price, but consistent with the quality standards. While companies with differentiation strategies or differentiators may be willing to pay more for raw material if such raw material will help to secure a better quality product or services. And just-in-time inventory management is simply a strategy that have become quite popular during the past 2 decades. It's emphasized on the fact that the purchase manager will ask suppliers to ship part at the precise time when they are needed in order to hold inventory, storage, and warehousing costs to a minimum. So again, thanks to the advance in information technology, just-in-time inventory management system has become quite prevalent in today's organizations. And in terms for human resource deployment, low-cost business often will attempt to minimizing staffing costs, training development, and even salaries. So what happened nowadays is they will often outsource the human resource areas to external consulting firms or staffing agencies, as many of these companies do not believe it's necessary to incorporate such business functions in-house. However, one of the important issues that the human resource functional area often will face is that it often is necessary to pay market wage for quality people. So HR strategy may differ little between low cost and differentiated business. However, all the HR function areas can be outsourced, and if oftentimes for firms they highlight a differentiation strategy, they will rather to keep those functional HR function in-house so they can be sure to have better understanding and management of the HR process. So fundamentally, it's really how organizations view their employees. When organizations view their employee as expense, they tend to minimize such costs. All right, so that's the type of mentalities that low-cost business tend to possess. In contrast, if companies see their employee as investment, they tend to maximize their value by managing human resource more strategically. And it's actually an important concept, strategic human resource management, simply because it fundamentally influences and shape how knowledge will be maintained within the organization. So knowledge management perspectives often highlight that individual employees and their skill capabilities represent the only resource that cannot readily be replaced or reproduced by first competitors, simply because all those human capitals are very difficult for other firms to imitate, because these human capital represent unique knowledge and skill base that could serve as your competitive advantages. So following this thought logic, strategy managers have recently begun to better understand the value of human capitals, which is as a resource of competitive advantages. However, unfortunately, when the economy is not doing well, when firms need to figure a way to improve their financial baseline, human capital or human resource usually would be the first things that company will let go. So we have witnessed in the financial crisis that many firms would actually start to lay off their employees as a way to cut costs and improve their financial ratios. And yet, these layoffs often would be very difficult and costly to retain in the future. So that's something firms need to pay careful attention to. And finally, information system management. Effective information system can support all other functional strategies. And especially nowadays, you really need to manage your information system more strategically, as they serve as the foundation for all business, regardless of their strategy. If you are able to utilize, not only collect, but analyze the information that have occurred in business productions or with the potential customer interactions, all these information will come in handy to help you to improve your future decision process and business process as well. That's why it's important to ensure you have an effective information system. Doesn't matter whether you want to choose the low-cost strategy or differentiation strategy. Information system is important for all business. And finally, if you look carefully at the functional strategy and look at the different industry life cycle stage, you will have noticed that at different industry life cycle stage, there would be a dominant strategy. There would be at play. For example, in the introduction stage, oftentimes research and development, especially product research and development, would become the dominant functional strategies that firms need to pay attention to, because fundamentally that will provide firms the unique feature that will ensure they will have the competitive advantages. In the growth stage, when customers start to be more familiar with the product and understand what type of product feature they want to emphasize on, that's when functional area of marketing will become very important. Because at this industry life cycle stage, the growth stage, firms really need to ensure the product is well understood by their end users in order to capture a large amount of market shares. At the maturity stage, that's when firms really emphasize on the importance of productions. Specifically looking at the process innovation by figuring out the area to cut costs, firms at the maturity stage will be able to better capture a larger amount of profit by streamlining their production strategies. At the declining stage, that's when firms need to carefully manage the various aspects of the financial components. By looking at various ratios, firms will be able to understand how they can manage the process more efficiently. And finally, the HR function is important, but often may not dominate across these different stages. Okay? And that's it for this week, and we'll continue next week. Thanks.